Hello everyone, this is an Aimsun video today and I will talk about transit lines, buses, BT lines, the basics. I will talk about micro simulation, so how to deal with them in the micro simulation model. And we will talk about the basics only. Later we will go into details in other videos and also for the meso or static modeling and other videos as well, as the topic is quite big. Before I go on, I would like to just say a quick thank you for everyone who liked, commented or subscribed to my channel. Or also if you pledged a few dollars on Patreon or on YouTube as a member. Thank you very much. Your support will go a long way. So in order to have a public transport line or a bus line, you need to start placing stops. You can create a stop by going to this icon, create a transit stop, and you just basically need to click on a section. Once you placed it, by left click, if you click it, places it. If you zoom in and you select it, you can see little handles. Using those, you can make it, the length, you can make it shorter or longer. And you can see the length next to the cursor in white little writing. The length is meaningful because it depends how buses will block back others or how many can fit in and these kind of things. There are multiple ways to place a bus stop. If you double click, it brings up the dialog box. If you go to main, the type can be normal, bus bay or terminal. So terminal is like as it says, a big bus terminal where you have like a capacity and multiple stops. A bus bay is a bus bay where it is not located on a link. So when a bus is at a bus stop, it's not going to block back vehicles on the main line. Normal is what you see here, that when they stop and pick up and drop off people, or while they wait there, they will block up people. So if you select bus bay, it automatically moves it. And this way, when a bus arrives, it will block back vehicle until it gets in here. And while it is in the stop, vehicle can just go normally. And if you have a multi-lane link and the bus finished at the bus stop, as it comes out, it will call a lane change model. So vehicle can also change lanes if a bus comes in. So it is quite a smooth operation and quite realistic. Before we go on, need to make sure that you have micro selected here. Otherwise, you don't see certain options. So if you select it, you see micro simulation and you see this visibility distance. So this is basically, this can make sense if you have multiple lanes and the bus arrives, and this is the distance where bus will see that stop. So basically it's a lane changing distance kind of thing, if that makes sense, or look ahead distance, similar to that. So they will try to get into the right lane and stop. Stop transit vehicles move front. So if it is like a longer stop, where you have multiple buses stopping, if one bus is waiting maybe here because there was a bus before and the bus left, then the bus will go all the way to the front, so it will let in other buses. It will make space, and that way if a bus is waiting here for the stop to become empty, it will not block up back vehicles behind because the bus can pull in to the stop. So it can be helpful if that's the way it operates in real life. The boarding cost function is not something we look at the moment, so let's just skip that. Used in lines, when you have a lot of or multiple lines that use this bus stop, then it will be listed here. So you can just quickly go through when you click on the bus stop, and you can see which lines actually use this stop. You can go to pedestrians and attributes, but those at this moment is not really important. We will deal with those later in the videos, in later ones. But you can also change here. These are important settings. Like the roadside, is it on the left or the right? It makes sense, of course, if it's like a bus bay or the terminal. Again, terminal deserve another video. And in 3D mode, you can visualize it as a bus stop or not drone. This is just the visual thing. And you can also add the name and external ID. And if you do that, and if you right click, you click show label, then everything will be shown. Otherwise, it will only show your Aimsun ID, the 1007. And you can just undo that. So when you have transit lines, a transit line represents a bus line, basically. So like bus number 900. And those need to be placed in a transit plan. And when you run your model, a scenario, those needs to be assigned in a scenario, and those transit plans will collect all your public transport lines. So how to create a public transport line? You can go to here to the project window, right click, new, and then you find transit and you can create a transit line, but you can do the same up here, new, transit and line. So this is going to be transit line 1008 because that was the next available Aimsun ID. And you can change the name, the external ID. And as you can see now, this is like an editor part of the dialog box where you can create the bus line, the transit line. So that is my stop there. So first I click on that link or section. And because these are auto connect and everything selected, it will connect it using the shortest if I select the last one. So as you can see, it listed all the sections. And as you can see here on the left, it also lists all the stops. So let me just cancel and create another stop here. And also if you right click on it, you can set the distance up. At the moment it's 25 meters from the start. I can do like 40 and then it moves it automatically. It can be helpful if you just measure it on Google or something. So it makes it easier. So now if I go back and do the same again, because I did not OK it. And I select the last one. As you can see, it shows all the stop. You can do an auto stops and then it will automatically select everything. But you can also just select none because maybe this is a line that only stops in 1 or 2. Maybe it's an express, so it will, if you have like 5, 10 stops, it only stops in like 1 or 2 or 3 or something like that. So let me just auto stop it. Then in the next one, there is the timetable part where you create your timetable. So if you click new, then you can add a new initial time and duration and departure times. So let's click new again. Here you can set up when you want to run your buses, this timetable. So you can have like a different timetable for like every hour, every half an hour or something like that. So let me just order in a peak period. Let's say it starts from 8 a.m. and it runs for an hour. And there are three different ways to set departure times. So let's say start with the fixed. It is very simple because you just basically set everything up one by one, every single bus. Okay, I want this bus to leave 8:15, 8:40, and that's it. But you can also do like intervals, let's say every 5 minutes. And here you have your 5 minute. And you can also set up a deviation, let's say like 1 minute plus minus 1 minute. So the bus will go between 4 and 6. You can also link it to another line. And there is a link delay time. This is if you want to just wait for another service that, is that there? If it's there, then we will start this one. So, if one bus waits for the other one, for example. so passengers can transfer. And the interval cumulative, the only difference is that between punctual and cumulative, that when you punctual, it basically have every 5 minutes and plus minus within that. So if the one left at 4, the next will have 10 plus minus 1, 15 plus minus 1, and so on. If you have cumulative, 5 minutes with a minute deviation, if the first one leaves at 4 minutes, then the next one will have 9 plus minus 1. And then if it leaves at 8, then 13 plus minus 1, the one after. So that what makes sense. That's the way it works, if it makes sense. And then I can talk hopefully. So then if you come to the bottom, this is dwell times. In the manual, you find it as stop time. So here you can also set a mean, a deviation, or an offset. Mean is like you want 10 seconds and it's 1 second. So the bus will wait in the bus stop for 10 plus minus 1. You can also use set all times when you can create, if you have 15 stops here, you don't need to go one by one. You can just put it automatically. If you put it like 10 and 1 second, then it does it basically for every single one of them. And also here, there is an interesting thing called offset. And you can use the offset to be shown or not. And also there is a non-applied offset, informative only. So if it is not ticked, it is not for information only. And this offset is the offset from the start. So if you have like the time distance between the departure and when it should leave the stop. So let's say if you have a bus that needs to depart at 10 past 8 from a stop, but it arrives 8 past 8, it will wait until 10 past 8. If you put here in seconds that 10 minutes. This can make sure that someone who checks the clock, okay, I need to go to my stop because the bus should be there at 10 past 8. Then even if your bus arrives earlier, it will wait as per the timetable and then will leave at 10. But if you put here, let's say that 10 minutes in seconds, and you only use, and if you use this, it will not do anything. So it will just arrive, exchanges passengers, applies this mean and the deviation time, and then goes. It's only there for information only. So you don't want that. And again, we will deal with this pedestrian in another video as it's a next step. And then as you see, there are some other tabs, but that's not important at the moment. So this is the way you can set up the stops and the lines. Now, when you have these lines, vehicle types also need to be selected, obviously. So bus. Now I have two lines, one I created earlier. You need to create a transit plan. A transit plan has basically all the lines together for a given scenario. You can have like multiple hours, different setups or schedules, or if you have a model where it changes, you can have different transit plans. So, this is like the base, this is like your proposed. And how to create a transit plan is you right click on a project, new transit plan, or you can also just go to the project menu and do the same. So once you do that, it will appear here. You double click on it, and on the left side, you will see the available ones. And the right side, you see what is included in your plan. With the red, you can remove. With the green, you can add. You can either select both, and then you can add, or you can just keep adding them one by one. You can use the double, or you can just use that. Now you add it. You click OK. And I created a dynamic scenario micro simulation because that's what we use. And the key thing is, so you can do new dynamic scenario. Once that's done, you create a new experiment. And then you have, at the moment, I just use the micro SRC, and then you create a replication. And when you open the dynamic scenario, you need to make sure that your transit plan is used in that scenario or set up correctly. Otherwise the buses won't appear. So you need to make sure that you have your traffic demand and your transit plan as well. And once you okay that, there is no other things to set up, just in terms of transit lines, just for your experiment. And you can just run the model. So basically, we can try to run the model. I just can't remember when I added the bus, but the bus should basically there. It's just not long enough. So what you can do, I just make it longer. I run it again. Auto run, and this, the only difference, it runs the model the same way, just it will start running it, this will not. So as you can see, I just need to click. And now it can get in, and it waits, and then it will go. And that's it. Just of course it's not leaving, because I think in the transit plan I left in the offset. So if I do that, I stop the run, I start it again. So I start running, and then it goes. So that's it. It's not that complicated. I think it's very straightforward. There are just a little bit more subtleties to it that we will look into in other videos. So make sure that you stay tuned, and thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.